Today's podcast episode, I am going to be trauma dumping. We're going to be trauma bonding. There is no script, no notes in sight. It is just going to be me speaking with no filter. So this shall be interesting. What is up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Rehinged Diaries podcast with your host, Ali Garza. So today's podcast episode, we're going to be talking about Jennette McCurdy's memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, and just basically having the conversation of forgiveness is not mandatory. And I know the title within itself is going to ruffle some feathers because a lot of people have mixed thoughts and opinions when it comes to the conversation of forgiveness. And coming from someone who related to so much of what Jennette McCurdy has talked about in her memoir and how she spoke about her opinion on forgiveness, I wanted to add my 2 cents and provide my perspective as well. With that being said, if you guys want a deep dive on the memoir within itself, I'll leave that video linked in the description down below, because I did make a whole video on my other YouTube channel that's like neglected. Like I neglected the YouTube channel, poor baby. I literally spent forever trying to build that one, and it's like just I went on over here. So if you guys are interested in that video, I'll put a lot of my thoughts and opinions and experiences on that one. So if you want to check it out, it'll be linked in the description down below. And I'm also going to provide videos throughout this episode that correlate with the conversation, because that's something a lot of people know me on my TikTok about, which was talking about Jennette McCurdy when that memoir first came out, because it's something that I resonated with so deeply, especially the timing. The timing of that memoir was absolutely insane, because me and my mom were at the worst of our relationship, and I was like, I want this bitch to die too. And I know I do not think that now, but at the time I remember oh my God, Jennette is literally speaking to everything that I feel. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people can resonate with that memoir, which is so sad because it's such a deep weight that is so awful to carry. And I definitely just want to talk a lot about that. So with all that being said, without me being all scrambled and all over the place, because I have no fucking script. So Jennette McCurdy's memoir, to summarize it all, she basically talked about her extreme parental abuse that she experienced with her mother. Her mother was just, imagine being a little kid and just wanting to be a kid. Just wanting to be a fucking kid, play outside, have a normal childhood. But your mother, something that is nobody's fucking problem but her own, decides, oh, well, I didn't fucking have the opportunity to be the star that I wanted to be. Therefore, I'm gonna put that on my child. I'm gonna make you live all the things that I always wanted to live but I couldn't, and just make you do that times a million. You have no opinions or thoughts on your future. You're gonna do what I fucking say. That's already traumatizing within itself, because any fucking child star will already tell you that shit was rough. It was fucking rough. It's how she sat there and showed so much discomfort to the whole process of being an actor, because she's like, this is not my gig, this is not what I wanted to be. She even talked about it in her memoir, how she loved writing. She always wanted to go down that route, but instead her mother's like, you're gonna do what I fucking say. I have dreams that need to be experienced, and you gotta I need you to live through my fucking dreams. So sad, because Jennette, all she ever wanted was to please her mom. And it's at what cost? It's so sad. And then what's even more disturbing in the memoir is how she explains how her mother taught her how to have an eating disorder, and that ended up being her biggest demon, that was overpowering the fuck out of her. Because imagine being so young and having no ways of coping whatsoever when it comes to traumatic shit, and then your mother is toxically teaching you how to have these horrible coping mechanisms that ended up literally almost, it could have taken Jennette's life. It's so sad. And that's already fucking horrible within itself. You being in an industry where you had to be thin. That's where you are the most worthy, is you had to be toothpick thin, especially in that era. Because we all know the early 2000s. If you had a little gut, you had a little bit of your hips, it's you're fucking Miss Piggy. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. So that being her realm of normal, it's I am going through all this horrible shit in the, the child star industry. It's fucking awful. I'm having to be toothpick thin. You're having to play a character. Anyone who's watched iCarly, if you haven't, bitch, you live under a rock. The show iCarly, it's all about her being a foodie. But in actuality, it's she felt like she was literally being tortured. Like, this character was the opposite of who she was. Like, you're playing this character, Sam Puckett, who loves eating. Like, that girl always has some ribs. Like, she always had a fucking bag of ribs by her and everything. And in actuality, she's struggling with an eating disorder. That is so insane. Then in the show, she had, she had like a really bad relationship with her mother. Like, it's literally insane. Dan Snyder deserves the fucking electric chair. He deserves to be hung for that shit. Like, it's so insane to me. It's so fucking unhinged at that. And that was awful, of course. And then her just talking about her mother passing away, and then her always wanted to defend her mother's name of like, no, she loved me, like she wanted the best for me. Like, it might have been insanely toxic that she dove me into this industry that's already corrupt within itself, but she wanted the best for me. She wanted me to be financially stable and financially free and just experience all these extravagant things, blah 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 blah. But it's like, at what fucking cost? Your childhood that you don't get back, by the way. So sad. And then throughout the memoir, you see that she's like basically coming to acceptance of like, oh my god, my mom is fucking trash. And what's even like sadder is the fact that if you listen to the Red Table Talk interview that she had with Jada Smith and just the Smith family, it's so sad how she talked about her perception of forgiveness and how she was like, this was my number one thing that I went to therapy for, is I want to forgive my mom, because that's what everyone tells you, right? That's what everyone tells you, that the freedom that you'll get from forgiving someone and it's the right thing to do. But when she came to terms with realizing, like, her therapist was like, well, what if that's just not the route that you're gonna go down, is forgiving her? And she felt so much relief and so much more like freedom in that sentence alone. And I remember when the memoir first came out, like, of course, if you check all my videos and all the things that I had to say about the memoir, it's something I so deeply could relate to. It was so sad that, like, when the memoir came out, I was like, I felt everything. Like, I remember I hated my mom so deeply that I couldn't breathe. Like, there was days where I literally woke up and I hated being alive because I just couldn't breathe with the amount of hatred I had for her. Because I just resented the fuck out of her for so many things. I felt like I didn't deserve half the shit not even half, all the shit that she's put me through that was fucking corrupt and awful. And it's just like, anyone who's Hispanic, by the way, y'all know that toxic mindset that they have was, oh, you just need to put you just need to love your parents, love thy mother and fucking father, whatever bullshit. Like, you gotta love them. And don't even get me started with, like, for those, I don't think I mentioned it at all in this podcast, but I used to have a really, really bad eating disorder. And it all started growing up when my family, like, it's so sad because growing up, I didn't even think I was fucking ugly. I didn't think that I was, like, bad in any kind of way. And then it's just, like, crazy growing up, like, it's not even like people in school or society hitting me with that realization of I needed to be perfect and I need to look my best. But imagine it's your family, the people that are supposed to accept you unconditionally. Like, them coming up to me and being like, hey, you're fat as fuck. They'll be like, damn, your hips are wide as fuck. Or, oh my god, your hair is frizzy. Or, oh my god, your teeth are fucking crooked. Or, oh my god, you just look ugly as fuck. Like, they will literally roast me. Like, roast me. Like, that's why if y'all think a hate comment is gonna get to me, bitch, I heard it all. Like, I really heard it all. And it was crazy. Like, imagine being so young, being like, well, damn, I didn't even know I was fucking ugly. Thanks for bringing this to my attention. Like, what the fuck did you want me to do with that information? And then it puts me down the route of like, oh my god. Well, eventually I started getting bullied in school. And then eventually it just started like getting to the point where everyone made that seem like it's something that I needed to really put my attention on, basically. It's like, oh, I'm fat. And it's a Hispanic thing, like, especially for me and my family genetics, like, we all have big, like, wide hips. So for me, it's like, if I ate a lot, like, I would have a belly. And even though my upper body was always skinny and my lower body was skinny, it's like my hips would just be wide. So I look a lot bigger than what I normally would. If that makes any fucking sense to anyone listening, especially watching, just like, try to imagine that. I don't know. But I know I looked a lot bigger than I actually was. Just my hips would get big and then I would have a belly. I always had a gut. But all the women in my family, which is fucking crazy, like, looking back, like, bitch, you built like them at your school bus and you're coming fucking at me. You're coming crazy at me for looking some kind of way, but it's like, you're not Beyonce. Like, you're not a fucking skinny legend yourself. Like, it was kind of crazy, like the projection, I guess. I don't fucking know. But long story short, that's all where my eating disorder, like, took place. And it's like, people don't realize how much of a demon having an eating disorder really is. Because that shit can turn into an addiction. And I love on Jennette McCurdy's memoir, how she talked about the addiction you could have when you start, like, throwing up your food. And, like, you start, purging your food. And I'll never forget, like, when I first discovered purging, trigger warning, like, how addicted I became to it. Because I remember, like, they talk about it when you have an eating disorder. Like, when you start having that addiction to purging, they say that you basically failed anorexia. Because, of course, I started off, like, just starving myself and eating less. That shit can only last for so long until you start going down the route of purging. And when you discover that, that is such a hard habit to break. I remember going through that and being like, oh my God, like, it's such a beautiful thing to eat whatever the fuck I want, and all I gotta do is throw it up. Sign me up. Like, oh my God. Like, it was just like, it sounded so nice until you start realizing the effects that it starts to have. My throat was always fucking on fire. I had braces, so all the fucking, like, acid would be near my teeth, or like my teeth were fucking decaying. It was fucking insane, to the point where I'll never forget when I was like, I had braces at that time when I had a really full-blown eating disorder. And I'll never forget when, like, my the dentist was like, oh my God, like, are you flossing enough? Like, you're literally gonna go down the route of your teeth being really fucked up and, like, decaying with all the acid that keeps coming up because you have a lot of built up shit on your teeth, like plaque and shit. And I remember I was like so scared because I was like, oh my God, like, if this secret comes out that people haven't people know that I have an eating disorder, it's like they're gonna think I'm crazy, which is kind of insane, because it's like, y'all are forcing this eating disorder on me, because I never thought that I looked bad at all until people started making me feel like my weight was a problem. Because once I started correlating, okay, well, people keep bringing up the fact that I'm fat, and the fact that it's such a big issue, I need to address it. Because once I started addressing it, I'll never forget when I joined soccer my junior year is when I became a toothpick. I was skinny as fuck. And I'll never forget the amount of compliments I got, where everyone's like, oh my God, you look so great. Like, oh my God, you're a baddie. And I'm like, bitch, I'm not eating. And I'll never forget my senior year when I did soccer again. I passed out because it was so hot. It was literally like 100 degrees. And y'all know when y'all go to the football, like, turf, like them heat waves that be happening. Oh my God, imagine like running 3 laps on that on 100 degrees, like outside, and you haven't eaten. All I ate was a banana that day. Whoo, I passed out. And I remember my mom and my dad were so scared because they're like, Allie never passes out. Like, she, like, what the fuck is going on? And I'll never forget that, like, my mom was so scared because it's like really common to have health issues in my family. My mom survived cancer and, all of that. So she was scared. Like, whenever something like that happens, my mom gets very frightened because she's like, I don't want you guys to have the same issue or the same pain that I ever went through. So that became a whole thing. But, like, long story short, it's like, my eating disorder took over my life for literally like 4 years. Like, it was like the entirety of my like high school years, it was just like destroying my life, because it becomes something you're so fixated on. Because if people make you feel like your weight is such a fucking issue when you never felt like it was to begin with, you start making it your issue. And that's such a traumatic thing to try to break, because then you're like, well, fuck, if I start eating again and start like just being healthier, I'm gonna be big. Or I'm just not going to be what like people perceive me or want me to be. And then it's like, what's going to happen with that? Like, we all just want to be accepted. We all just want to be loved. And then on top of that, it's like me trying to cope with all the fucked up shit that my mom has put me through. It was just like a lot. It was really, really a lot. And it took me a long time to get to where I'm at mentally when it comes to like recovering from my eating disorder. Like, that's a whole episode or video, like whatever, a topic within itself. But when it comes to back to the conversation of forgiveness, I remember, like I said, I would wake up every single day and feeling like I hate my mom so much that I can't even breathe. Like, I would wake up and just be so angry. I was so angry, and especially being in my last relationship where the environment was already toxic within itself. The environment, because it was me and him and living with this family. That environment was already toxic within itself. Ironically, I was helping my mother manage a cleaning company, so that meant I work with her. By the way, never work with family. Like, never work with fucking family. So it's like I had to see her every day. And it was just so hard for me because there was times when she was putting effort and trying to be in my life, and I didn't know how to feel about that. Because I'm like, I hate you beyond anything you could even comprehend. Because all this weight that I'm carrying is not even fair. Like, it's not fucking fair for me to be holding all this weight. The weight of, like, just resentment for me now having an addiction to being obsessed with my appearance. Like, me being so addicted and obsessed with it, like, I'm like, I always have to go to the gym. If I'm not going to the gym, I don't know how to cope or deal with that. Or I need to always have my hair done. I always need to have makeup. or like, clear skin, like taking care of myself. I have this addiction now because I don't know who I am without those things. And then it's like on top of that, it's like the intense anxiety, the insomnia, like all these things that I hold on. Like whenever I would wake up and I would have instant anxiety and I didn't even like, there was nothing going on around me. It's like, I didn't even know what that meant until like I went to therapy. And she was like, oh, well, that means literally that you had such a traumatic upbringing that every time I woke up, there was drama. Like I literally woke up to my mom screaming at me all the time. And it was like, whenever there was like quiet and peace and I wake up, it was so fucking weird. Like I would literally wake up and just feel doomed. Like if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. It's such a crazy fucking feeling to experience. It's waking up and then feeling like you're already doomed and you're already fucked. Like, oh shit. Like, but then if there's nothing going on, it's so much more confusing because it's like, why am I anxious? Like nothing's literally going on. Like my body's trying to create a scenario that doesn't even exist. And it's like, oh, because I literally woke up and like I used to live in such a chaotic environment that was my normal. The constant screaming, the intense nitpicking. Like my mom nitpicked me to the full fucking T.
If you are the cause of a child's trauma, please shut the fuck up.
No, but like, can we really talk about it? So I'm 23 and I moved out when I was probably like around 19. And it wasn't because, I wanted to be an adult and have my own things. I hate it here. It's not fun. So my mom was so emotionally abusive. Like she truly was my bully, without a doubt. Like I couldn't even go into my own home where I'm supposed to be safe. I literally would get panic attacks and anxiety attacks because I'm like, I know I can't even walk into my room without her trying to start shit with me, pick on me, and then poke me to the point where I'm triggered, and she'd be like, oh, there you go, you're crazy. So long story short, we had a conversation about why I moved out, and she was just like, you need to learn how to let things go. Like the Bible says you need to learn to forgive and obey your parents. It's always the people that preach God so much that are the most twisted people, but that's not my point. It's the fact that like people feel so entitled to be above being held accountable, and it blows my mind. It was always her making fun of my stutter, calling me a fucking idiot, calling me the R slur, like calling me dumb, like all these crazy things. Like she always wanted me to be what she wanted me to be. Which I think it's so unfair. And that's why I resonate so heavily with the memoir, because it's like, it's so fucking unfair to be brought into this world and your fucking parents think it's acceptable just to they just want to create this version of you that, what if it just isn't you? And then it's like, you're literally being punished for that when that's not even fucking fair. Like my mom wanted me to be this innocent little church girl who, is perfect and motherfucking Teresa. And it's like, bitch, you're not even that. So what the fuck? It's like crazy. And I would resent her for that. Because then if I was anybody else, like me literally being authentically myself. My dad introduced me to horror movies, which I love so much. He bought me my first set of gauges. I always loved tattoos. I always just loved people that were just different. I love people that were ordinary and original. Like I just like love that. And it's crazy that like my mom would like punish me for that. Like punish me for wanting to be myself and authentic. So it was just like I had so much resentment towards that, and it's like I talked about it so much on my TikTok or on other platforms, but it's like it makes you start to get angry, where it's like, well, was there a bus or a train that I don't know about that I missed that makes me like good enough or worthy? Because I don't get why I wasn't good enough to be accepted. Why wasn't I good enough to have a normal relationship with my parents? Is there a train that I missed? Like I've always had like that type of conversations. It's like it kind of makes you internalize all those things, where it's like, what the fuck did I do to not get that acceptance? What the fuck did I do to, not have my mom like hug me and tell me that I'm good enough and she loves me? What the fuck did did I miss the train? Did we all fucking miss the train? Like all the people that resonate? Like what the fuck? Healing and maturing is realizing that For me personally, I started going to therapy at the age of 23. And a grief that I had to go through was me realizing that my parents don't hold the capacity to ever be what I need them to be. And that's healing. Like, that's a grief that I had to go through for a really long time. That's where a lot of my anger started. Was, damn, I want a relationship with my father where he, we're close. Like, my dad and me used to have a very, 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 very close relationship growing up. He was my best friend. Like I said, he accepted me when I was young. Like, when I was very, very young, he would literally look at me in my eyes and tell me, "You're one confident ass bitch." There is people that go through so much, like, get training to be confident. You're just naturally confident. Don't let anybody rob you of your confidence. And he, like, just allowed me to be authentically myself. And then my dad became an alcoholic and then abandoned us and then came back. But it's like, it never felt like he ever came back. Because when he came back, all he ever cared about was repairing his fucked up marriage with my mother instead of, like, being a father. So there was the anger and hatred towards that. And then me, I resented my mother to the fullest capacity because I held that against her. I was like, bitch, me and my dad don't have a relationship because of you. Because your marriage is so much more worthy and so much more important to him than his fucking relationship with his children. So I used to hold so much resentment towards that, where I was like, I hate you. And then on top of that, you never accepted me. So what the fuck have I done to not deserve to be accepted? And then there's that grief that I had to accept that she doesn't have the capacity to accept me. She doesn't. My dad doesn't have the capacity to be the father that I need him to be. And that's a grief that I will forever feel like is unfair. Absolutely. I think that's unfucking fair that my parents would never be what I need them to be. But you know what? I find peace knowing that I don't need that. Because last time I motherfucking checked, I moved out at the age of 19. And I didn't have shit to my fucking name. I had $1,000 in my savings account. I was living with my ex-boyfriend in a very chaotic environment. But you know what? Did I need them then? Yes, I did need them. But then did I do what I needed to do without them? Absolutely. I accomplished so much in my life without them. And of course, there's that conversation of them coming back into my life. And of course, there was just so much guilt of me still wanting to hate my mom, even though she's done a lot to, like, make things right with me. Even though it's like, there's so much you've done that it's like, will that ever be possible? So back to the conversation of forgiveness. Is, forgiveness mandatory? No. And here's the thing, here's my perspective on forgiveness. It is not your job to forgive someone else for the unforgivable actions that they played on you. However, I feel like what is mandatory is forgiving yourself for thinking that that's a weight that you need to carry. I think that's the only thing that people have fucked up when it comes to, like, forgiveness. And me and my therapist used to argue about this all the time. Where she's like, Ali, well, it's so much more healing to forgive people. There is people in this planet Earth that I would never fucking forgive. Do I forgive their actions and understand that they're their own individuals? When they make those fucked up, unforgivable actions, it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them. And it's not a weight that I feel like I need to carry. Like, it's crazy that, like, when me and my ex broke up and then how me and my mom suddenly got really, really close. It was kind of crazy because me and my ex used to comfort me in the sense where I used to hate, like, I would literally tell him how much I hated my mom. I was like, I hate my mom so much that I can't breathe sometimes. Like, I hate this woman so much that it's not even fair that I hate her this much. And that's the thing about, like, when I say that you need to, like, forgive yourself for thinking that that's a weight you need to carry. Because at the end of the day, like I said, the decisions that she's made and me accepting the fact, because that's the thing, it's all about acceptance. It's not fair. Don't get me wrong. That's something I had to learn and had to heal from, is knowing that it's not fair that I have to accept the fact that she doesn't hold the capacity of being the mother that I need her to be. That's not fair. It's not fucking fair. But you know what? You know what also it's not fair? It's not fucking fair for me to hate her so much that I can't breathe. Because that literally plays such a huge role in my day, on my relationships, like everything. I was such a fucking angry person that I literally could not function. You couldn't look at me the wrong way. I was always just blowing up and I was just so angry. Because that was a weight that I was carrying, it wasn't even fair. Because it's like, That's her problem, that she doesn't hold the capacity to love me the way that I deserve. But I can give that to myself. Is it fair? It will never be fair. You can still find healing through that. And that was the really, really hard thing that I had to do. Was, when I forgave my mom, it was really, really hard. I remember being in therapy, crying my eyes out, being like, it's like, the best way I can describe it is you feel like you're betraying that innocent part of you that didn't deserve the abuse. That's the best way that I can put it. You feel like you're betraying that part of you that didn't deserve the abuse when you feel like you're forgiving them. That's the thing, though. You do not have to forgive them. There's a lot of people in this world I don't forgive. But you know what? You can forgive yourself. You can forgive yourself for thinking that that's a weight you need to carry. You need to forgive yourself for thinking that their unforgivable actions had anything to do with you, because it doesn't. It never will. It never will have anything to do with you. Everybody, when they make their actions and make their choices, they make their bed at night and they sleep in it, it had nothing to do with you. They made those actions themselves, because if that's what they thought it was right at the time, we don't have to make any excuses for them. They made that action. It had nothing to do with you. So you forgiving someone is not mandatory, but you forgiving yourself should be mandatory. And trust me, it's not an overnight process. It's not something that you're just going to wake up and be like, oh, fuck. Like, I don't hold this against myself anymore. I'm not prisoner to this person's actions against me. That takes so much time, so much, what's the word I'm looking for? It takes so much, what's the word I'm looking for? So much grace towards yourself, so much patience with yourself. It takes a lot of that. And when it came to this memoir, like, I feel like that's the thing that probably Jennette McCurdy struggled with so much, which, don't get me wrong, you don't ever gotta forgive someone at all. You can say, I'm gonna go die in my casket and still fucking hate you, bitch. And trust me, I'm the same way. There's some people in this world, I'm like, bitch, I'm gonna be in my casket and if they show up at my funeral, I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise and talk my shit and say, bitch, get out. Like, trust me. Trust me, I still feel like two things can be true at once. There are some people in this world you may never forgive. And I think that's a very controversial take, because people say, oh my God, the only way to happiness is forgiving this person. No, the only way to happiness is forgiving yourself and not holding yourself accountable to someone else's actions. Not putting yourself as a prisoner to someone else's actions. That's the only way you would truly set yourself free. And I really feel like this memoir was so beautiful, and I really wanted to spark up that conversation when it comes to forgiveness, because I feel like that's something that Jennette McCurdy has talked about a lot, when she's like, oh my God, I feel like, forgiveness is just so hard because it was never fair. It was never fair for what my mother has put me through. It wasn't right. And that's the thing. Like, when it comes to forgiveness, and I've been there, I literally cried when she said that, because I resonated with that so deeply. When you feel like, wow, I feel like I'm betraying that innocent version of me who didn't deserve that pain. I want to stand by her. And I remember crying in therapy and telling my therapist, I don't want to forgive my mom. I don't want to forgive her, because I feel like that little Allie that was like, she like dealt with so much. Like, I want to stand by her and defend her and think that shit was fucked up. But that's the thing. Me holding this amount of weight and this amount of like pressure onto what my mom has done to me is still not fair to little Allie. It's still not fair to her. For me to hold this weight and to wake up angry so much, like waking up so angry that I just can't breathe. That is not fair to little Allie. Still, a lot of the fucked up, unforgivable shit that she encountered is still never will be fair. However, I feel like I've done so much justice for little Allie when it comes to the fact of like me being like, you know what? That person fucked up his shit. And you know what? They live a miserable life. And that got nothing to do with me. That got nothing to do with me. That behavior is fucked up and they're going to hell in a handbasket. But I don't got to hold that weight. And I know it's difficult having this conversation, especially the fact that me and my mom we have come such a a long way, basically, when it comes to our relationship. And I have forgiven her. And our relationship has gotten better, and like, she's proved herself so much to me, and she's done the work though. She's done the work, and I don't ever want to give that hope to someone listening or watching. Because I remember I would get so many DMs from people telling me how they resonated with my video and asking for advice on how to move out so young. Because I moved out at 19. So that was already really tough within itself. But at the same time, it's like my mom has proved herself to me and I forgave her. But that doesn't mean that there's people in my life that I still like will never forgive. Like when it comes to my ex's mom, bitch is on site forever. Let me stop. Let me stop. But I will never forgive her. I would never give her that grace to ever think that I forgave her. But you know what? Her behavior, I don't hold it on myself anymore. I don't hold that fucked up, unforgivable behavior that she's put on me. I don't hold myself prisoner to that anymore. I wake up every day and I accomplish everything I want out of my life, but I don't sit there praying on her downfall or holding all that anger anymore. Because it was really, really crazy. When me and my ex broke up, I remember hating him so much I couldn't breathe. I remember hating him so much that I felt like it was unfair that he got to live his life really nice in a really nice home where I was sleeping on an inflatable mattress trying to pick up the pieces. I didn't think that was fair. I hated him so much I could not breathe. I hated his mom so much that I wanted, if I saw her, I fucking would have squared the fuck up. Whereas now, I'm like, oh, you guys will forever be miserable. You guys will forever amount to nothing. And I will spend my days attracting the life that I want for myself and letting unforgivable behavior go. And letting little Allie know that, like, I'm not betraying you by letting that behavior go, but I'm serving you by not holding that weight that's so unfair for me and her to carry. But yeah, that is everything for the conversation of forgiveness is not mandatory. I kind of wanted to like give you guys a little life update, which kind of inspired this episode. Oh my God, it's so hot because I don't like having my AC blasting because then I feel like the background like sound is really fucking annoying. So I wanted to give you guys a little life update on what's been going on in my life because it kind of inspired this episode. So I mentioned in one of my podcast episodes that I'm going to be coming out very soon to my family. I'm going to be coming out to my parents really, really soon. And it's kind of crazy because I had a conversation with my sister yesterday and I know she doesn't accept the person that I've been seeing because they're non-binary. And it's kind of crazy how like rejected I felt and how much that played a role on my sadness as of lately. It's just been really weird because it's like growing up, I never gave a fuck if my parents accepted me or not because I had to grieve it at a very young age knowing that there's nothing that I'll ever do that'll ever be good enough for my parents. I could fucking find the cure to cancer. It will never be good enough. I can do so much. Once upon a time, I tried to become that innocent church girl that they wanted me to be. And because I'm fucking bipolar, and at times I will be sad. At times I'm manic and I do unacceptable behavior, unhinged behavior. I was immediately like, oh, you're the fuck up in the family. Like, I know at a very young age that they would never accept me. I would never be good enough, and that's fine. I grieved that at a very young age. So I always lived my life knowing that, like, I don't live my life to please them. I live my life because I deserve to attract everything that I want. I went through so much trauma that I need to make it kind of worth experiencing and make some art out of it. Like, inspire people, make people feel seen. That's all I ever want out of my life. And long story short, it's like I had this conversation with my sister and I had to accept, like, I don't even think you accept me. Like, I don't think my sister accepts me. She claims that she does, but no, you don't. No, you don't. Like, you're really triggered over the fact that I'm, like, seeing someone that's non-binary. That's your fucking problem. I could be dating a fucking serial killer. I could be dating a fucking P-word. Like an awful person that's actually, like, done unforgivable actions. But because someone identifies as a non-binary person, that's fucking insanity to me. And I remember, like, telling my sister, I want to come out to my parents, not... Like, I don't want to come out to them and say that I have a parent, like I have a partner just yet, because it's too soon to, like, dictate what it's going to be. But I do want to come out to my parents period. Because it's about damn time. I'm 25. I should come out to my parents. And of course, if me and this person continue to see each other and it grows, then I will tell my parents I am seeing someone. But like, what's insane to me is when I said that, there was so much relief into my sister's like body language. Like, oh, so you're coming out to mom and dad because you're like, you like women. That's fine. That's fine. That's so like, okay. I'm like, but wait, like, what if me and this person really do take it to that level and I'm seeing them? Like, you should be accepting to that. Like, what the fuck? And then, my sister was like, oh, I know it's going to drive a wedge in between my parents' marriage. Like, my dad, he is so religious that he's going to put my mom in that weird predicament where it's like, you got to choose me, standing by your husband, or choose your daughter. And I think there's a part of me that's grieving, feeling like my mom loves my dad so much that I think she'll choose him over me. And I think that's what I've been struggling with lately, is like accepting the fact that like, oh fuck, like I'm still not good enough. And I went to therapy today, and I remember my therapist was like, let's dive into that. She's like, why does this matter to you? Like, you've never given a fuck about being accepted by your parents ever. So why has it played a role now? I'm gonna keep asking why, and we're gonna until it starts to like, like my therapist does this thing where she keeps saying why, until there's like that breakthrough and we're like silent after a response. It's like, whoa, we hit the mother load. She kept asking me why does it like, why is it affecting you so much that your parents are not gonna accept you? Why? Let's talk about it. And that's when I kind of like was like, that's a crazy question to ask, because it's like, I don't know. I never gave a shit about being accepted by my parents. I don't know why it's playing such a huge role. Until we sat there and we just kept asking the why and why and why, is when I realized, wow, like as of lately, when I was first, I made an appearance recently on TMZ. I started making money on TikTok. My parents always felt like my dreams were delusions, until like, as I've been consistent for the past 2 years of like following my dreams in regards to all of this, it's like, it's slowly starting to pay off. And I feel like that's the only time where I finally got that validation I've never gotten ever from my parents, where they're like, we're so proud of you. You're our favorite child. You're our favorite child. Like, you're the most successful like child so far. Like, all these things that you always said that like you wanted to do, we're finally seeing that it's possible. It felt good. Like, my therapist kept saying, how did that make you feel when you got that validation? I'm like, it felt so good to know that like, wow, this dream that I've been telling y'all I wanted and y'all said it was delusions, it's finally happening. And I finally felt good enough. And it just felt so good telling them how proud they were of me, how they would like show my TMZ interview to all of my family members. It felt good. Until recently, knowing that like, wow, I'm going to be the girl that I was before that, which is I am not going to be good enough once again. Oh, fuck. You have all the success and all the things that you've always wanted to manifest, but you're fucking, I hate labels, pansexual. Like, if there's a label that I can identify with, I would say pansexual. You like the same gender in some capacity. And it's kind of crazy because I didn't understand why that hurt so much. Because I accepted it at a very young age that they will never accept me. But now I get it. It's because, oh shit, I was put on a pedestal and it felt fucking good. Until I was taken right off that pedestal like it was before, and now it's hurting again. I'm grieving the same thing I grieved all of my life, is knowing that I'll never be good enough for these people. And then my therapist is like, but what feels better? You living according to what they want you to be, or you being authentic? Like, how fucking badass is it for you to love who you are, to love who you love, and just stand fucking tall with that? And if they don't accept you, who fucking cares? Because what feels better? Catering to what they want me to be, or me just being my damn self? And I feel like that was like, her and I sat in silence for like literally 2 minutes. Because I'm like, that's the craziest like breakthrough I've had in such a long time. Is realizing, whoa, I'm still seeking their approval and I don't get why. Because I feel so much more free just being the disappointment of the family. But I'm living my truth. Because it's everything I stand against. It's everything I'm against. It's everything I stand by. It's just trying to be what they want me to be. Oh, well, let me just, if they accept me for, liking the same gender, it just can't be with someone non-binary. Fuck no. I love who I fucking love. I like what I fucking like. If that's a problem with you, that's not my fucking issue and that's not my fucking problem. I'm not going to cater to what you want. Because last time I motherfucking checked, the list will roll down the fucking hallway of all the fuck shit that they done. Why do I have to accept you? Why do I gotta accept the fuck shit you've done? But just for me, liking the same gender or liking someone that's non-binary, shit, if I liked someone that was transgender, why the fuck is that a crime in their eyes? Compared to all the fuck shit they've fucking done. It's like ludicrous to me. It's just so crazy. And I'm just learning to just find freedom in the fact that it's like, oh, like, you don't accept me, but I accept me. And I want to make my podcast a safe space for the people that aren't accepted or want to feel accepted. I want my podcast to be something that someone can just turn on. And if they're trying to run away from their problems or even unwrap their problems, I could be that person and their comfort for them. That's what I started this podcast for. And it's everything I stand by if I'm trying to cater to what someone wants me to be. And it's something I will never fucking do because I've done it and it's fucking prison. And it's just not fucking, like, there's bigger problems in the fucking world. Me liking the same person, me liking someone that's non-binary. If I were to like someone that's transgender, that's fucking insane to me. How that's more of a deal breaker than if I were to like a fucking P word, an R word. Like, it's just so, like, a criminal. It's just crazy to me. And I just wanted to give you guys that life updates that, like, I was really sad at first. I was struggling emotionally when it came to that. But now I don't give a fuck. I'm still going to create my podcast episodes. I'm still going to live in my truth and be authentically myself. And hopefully I can continue to teach people to be authentically themselves, because it is fucking scary. It is such a deep heartbreak to accept and experience when you realize that you would just... Some people don't hold the capacity to accept you or love you the way that you deserve. But you know what? I'm not going to sit there and spend the rest of my time on this earth begging for that or needing that. I'll give myself that space. I will give myself that space to love myself, regardless if it's against what society thinks is, like, respectful or fucking acceptable, whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm going to still be me at the end of the day. But yeah, that is everything for today's podcast episode. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. If you are listening to this on Spotify, make sure to give it a 5 stars rating, because I gotta keep these lights on, okay? And if you're watching this on the podcast YouTube channel, I want to say thank you so much for the people that have been commenting, tuning in, and just, like, subscribing. I love you guys so much. Really want to reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers. I reached 500 recently, which that was just, like, crazy, because I remember, like, literally a year ago, because it's about to be a year on the 26th when I started this podcast, where I couldn't even crack 100 views. And I felt like, oh my God, what's the point of this podcast? It's not going anywhere. And now it's like I'm surpassing that in every episode. And I love that so much. And thank you guys so much. I can't wait to start interviewing people very soon and just keep pushing out more episodes for you guys. And I just can't wait to continue to have you guys on the journey of following my dreams and making things a reality. I love you guys so much who give me the platform and the support to just do what I would like to do and manifest. It means so much to me. I love you guys so much. And I'll see you guys in the next podcast episode. Bye-bye.